Ah, I see. It was muted. Of course. That makes sense. So let's adjust this back down a little bit. Okay, so that should be better. How's the volume? Is it a bit too loud? Is the pickup a little spotty or whatever? It should be okay now, but we just want to adjust to make sure that I'm not blowing out the microphone. A little bit too loud, okay. I thought it might be because I did raise it a lot. Alright, this should be like pretty spot on. Okay. I think we should be good now. Tweaked it a little bit, we can always adjust it. I left the slider up so we can move it if it gets a little spiky somewhere, but... so basically, here's our situation. After a bit of an extended break, we came back, and the season had been reset, which we're not that surprised about, because we got new cards, and I played a total of 15 games or so. Those 15 games you can see here. It was a pretty solid mix of a bit of the mirror and then a bit of other random stuff. We played our 15 games. We won most of them. I think 3 of these losses, I think 2 of them were in best of 3s where we played all 3 games, and I won. We got blasted once here, but we got back to Grandmaster, and then I didn't really feel like I wanted to do just the normal grind with the decks. I thought that would be fine, but I asked Pavel if he would be able to reset me back to the start so we could do the climb again, and he was fine with that. And he had the ability to do that, so we reset ourselves all the way back to Wood 5, so like it's a brand new account. So we're gonna do our climb again. We're gonna try to 0 to hero. We're gonna do it in April here. I don't think it'll take that long. Or sorry, we're gonna do it in March here. I don't think it'll take that long. But I am still gonna play in a few tournaments. Like tomorrow, there's gonna be or in about 8 hours or so, a little less than 8 hours. There's the pack tournament that I'm gonna play in. We're gonna figure out what deck we're gonna play today in that. As well, but basically we're gonna go GM all the way down to Wood 5, back to GM. We're gonna record the whole thing. I won't play any ranked games off stream at the very least. So the deck that I've been playing, or something pretty close to it, is this. This is the most up-to-date version of. We've adjusted a few of the numbers. I've been a big fan of Medusa. I still like Jim plus the locations, and it is relying on like Rafiki, the Pinocchio, and Crab to sort of carry a lot of the challenges and location fighting. Obviously it's got Maui and Fox, which are good at that as well. Fishhook is incredibly valuable, similar to Crab, where it gives you additional challenge power because you can give +3, but sometimes it also can give evasive, which is very good. And then otherwise it just sort of plays like a normal red-purple deck where you are just gaining some incidental lore throughout the game with your rabbits and your whatever. But then we also have something like the castle, which draws additional cards, which we didn't really have before, giving incidental lore. Gym plus a location ends up being a huge tempo readjustment after something like a Be Prepared, where all of a sudden you now have a character that's pretty decent, large, along with, say, the castle or the RLS Legacy, plus you have another character in play a lot of times, so that you can sort of piece it together once you Be Prepared. So deck's pretty good. I think there are different versions of this deck. Currently not running any Tremaines in favor of the Medusa. Tremaine being something that can be played around has been problematic in the past. So I've cut it in favor of Medusa, which as a card is something that you can, be more selective about. Because this, when interacting with Steel, for example, hits Beast, and it hits Robin Hood, and it's able to take out like an Ursula. It's pretty good in the mirrors if they're still running Surfer. Hey Django, how are you? I feel like the Medusa is very strong right now. I don't necessarily fault anybody for running Tremaine, but we've cut it in favor of going really heavy Medusa. Mostly so because we're trying to like test these cards a little bit too. We're trying to test without Surfer to see if it's something that we really miss. I don't think that Prince Eric is particularly strong because it's not very good on the draw because it doesn't really do anything. And if I'm going to play an effect like that, I think I would rather just have like a Dragonfire instead. I do think that on the play it can be pretty brutal just because on 4 you play that and then your opponent sort of is at a standstill on being able to interact with your board. But the fact that it gets Cloud Kickered, the fact that it can get Mother Knows Bests just bounce to your hand, and that it's not very good unless you have Teeth and Ambitions because you can't really control when it goes off, are all sort of dings in my book against it, versus something just like a Dragonfire. And since the uninkable slots are very precious, you know, you have to be really cautious about what you're putting in there. I have not found him to be particularly exciting. I would probably rather have another Pinocchio or a Dragonfire before I look toward to adding Prince Eric. Though that could always change meta dependent. If it's something that your board is getting destroyed too much with steel, then, you know, there's some options there. But I think Pinocchio plus things like Rafiki and Crab is probably going to be the answer, and it very well could be 3 Pinocchios. So the reason that Pinocchio is good is people are playing to the board a lot earlier, right? So it's very good against Ursula. Rafiki also helps a lot with Pinocchio being playable. Before, your 1-drops like really didn't do enough against the non-aggro decks. Like against the aggro decks, they play a lot of, they play like a lot of 1/1s. They play things that your Minnie Mouse, even a random Goon, just a 2/2 for 1, had the ability to interact with, if you could exert it. But a lot of the other decks didn't have cards that mattered to be tapping and killing outside of, say, Arthur. Well, in the new set, there's a lot more cards that you can hit with Rafiki. So if you go Rafiki into Pinocchio, you can take out a lot of things. Even to the point of sometimes using the Pinocchio to bully some of the larger characters in the format. You know, tap a beast and play a crab and then smash into it or whatever. So the Pinocchio, because there's a lot more challenging going on out of the deck, which is why there's more crabs, you know, the fish hook and things like this, the Pinocchio has a lot more value. I also considered the spell that what is it? I want spell, the Last Ditch Effort. I think this one is also reasonable. I favor the Pinocchio because it costs 2, so you can, on the play, Rafiki, or sorry, on the draw, you can Rafiki into Pinocchio and kill their 2-drop or their 1-drop if you need. I don't necessarily think that it's a must-have. I think you could run something like Last Ditch Effort, but I think if you don't have a plan to interact and deal with Ursula, or a plan to interact and deal with some of the cards in the format, you're going to have a rough time. Because you're just going to get buried by, you know, Ursula card advantage. You know, they sing Friends on the other side. They double flicker their things with Bippity Boppity or whatever. It can be pretty miserable if you don't have answers to cards like that. And you're going to struggle against some of the aggro decks just because you're not going to be fast enough. Yeah, I think Last Ditch Effort is just worse than Pinocchio. It also can't be bounced, which is unfortunate. Your fail case on Pinocchio is that at least it's a 1/1 for 2, and you can bounce it with your Fox and your Snake and reuse it, where you can't really do it with Last Ditch. Which is why we've ended up on the Pinocchios. Again, I could very easily see us ending up on 2 Pinocchios, but 3 might be where you need to be at, depending upon the metagame. Especially if you are on the draw a lot, because the Pinocchio gets better on the draw. If you go Rafiki into Pinocchio, it's pretty strong. Or if you end up having a Snake in play on 2, then your turn 3 play of Pinocchio, you know, plus a 1, or even just inking something and playing a Pinocchio to take out an Ursula is pretty solid. So I think between the the Mim and the Rafiki. Like, honestly, there's some other 3 power 2-drops that I've been considering. Just because the ability to answer some of these threats, like Ursula on 3, ends up being very strong. So let's play some games. We're going to play a bit of games. We'll adjust the deck. I may even just make a second one for some slightly different versions, some that have less gyms. Though Gym ends up being ink a lot, I still think it's a pretty strong card. But, you know, we kind of have to... we kind of have to test a bit to really know for sure. So we'll jump in. We'll battle some games here. And then we're going to keep track of how many games that we have actually played throughout this entire thing. Like, how many games it takes us to get to the finish here. The sand's actually very good. Keep that for sure. I don't know how many games it'll take or how many hours, but we'll at least keep track of how many games. I know how many games we've played prior to this as well, so we'll be able to kind of know for sure. It's on the draw, so we'll see how strong Rafikis are here against the blue-red. Likely not as strong as they are in some other spots, but there are some versions of blue-red that play a little bit lower to the ground as well. Am I going to the 2K in Anoka tomorrow morning? I should, but I'm going to play in the pack tournament tomorrow, I think, just because I can stream it. But I probably should have gone to the Anoka one. I didn't even realize that it was there. Mostly through fault of my own, not through bad advertising. I just had other stuff going on, and it totally slipped my mind. Hey, Shadow, appreciate the raid. Hope you're doing well. I should probably play my turn here. Given that our opponent is playing Pirate, or sorry, Locations rather, I probably don't need this Kuzco, and we're going to need both of these Rafikis. So I'm going to go ahead and play this Rafiki and probably play the second one as well. Thanks, Shadow, appreciate that. I hope that your games are going well today. Thanks for the raid. But yeah, I'm going to just play in the all-in one tomorrow. Though the paper would have been nice. I guess I don't actually have all my cards in paper yet, so... It's a 1-3. Whenever it quests, you pay 1 less for the next item. Sure. I don't imagine that there will be a ton of mirrors this early on. It's not impossible, I suppose. I think if you are running some of the Pinocchios, you don't need nearly as many teeth. I don't think it's unreasonable to play a decent handful of them. Things like Teeth, but Teeth is worse with, obviously a little bit worse with Rafiki, and if you play Rafiki with Pinocchio, you have answers there as well. Yeah, I ordered a couple more gyms. That was really all I was missing. A few gyms and a couple of other of the rares to fill out the deck, but they probably won't be here for another couple weeks. It really does feel like you have to open probably, I would say probably 7 or 8 boxes if you want, and maybe like a trove in order to get a full set of all of the cards. And even then, you're not guaranteed all of the legendaries. You'll probably get pretty close, though. Are they teething one of my Rafikis? No. That's fine. Okay, so we'll probably still Fox here. On one of these. Because it's kind of free. I think we'll hit those two, and we don't really need friends on the other side. We have plenty of draw, from what I can tell. But we very well might need these mims, so let's do this, and then pass. So our opponent doesn't have a ton of cards, so they're going to need to find something to draw them more resources here soon, because all they've really done so far is ramp. Not really put a ton of pressure. No Robin Hoods out of a case. Yeah, that's rough. RLS Legacy. Sure. And here's an example of where a lot of these like higher strength cards end up being a lot more valuable. Is we can bully things like the RLS Legacy pretty favorably without really worrying too much. Like, I can hit this, we can quest here. We'll replay the Fox. Debating if I want to put this Fox in my hand or if I want to do the Rafiki. I think I'd rather just put the Fox in my hand, because we don't need to go that quickly, and I'd rather just have it in hand just in case they do a board wipe. There was a line where we can bounce the Rafiki and just replay it and have the additional Fox in play, but I just don't think we need it in play at all. We're going to Flaversham their Quill, that's acceptable. This means if we draw Pinocchio, we could actually take out Flaversham here as well. If not, we're likely to either Queen's Castle or just Rabbit. Probably leaning more towards the Queen's Castle lines. Yeah. Let's just bash this thing. Let's play a castle. We can maybe just get rid of this redundant castle here. And then we will put our Mim Fox in here and pass. Morning, Sean. Michelangelo, hi, how are you? So we have destroyed several of our opponent's cards, mostly for free, which is not great for them. But it is more or less a consequence of locations not being able to protect themselves, so you can bully them pretty easily with pretty well any card, as long as it has power associated with it, and most of our cards do. So I think we can just get rid of this. And then I think we're just going to move both of these to the location, and then if they decide not to challenge any of them, that's fine. If they take this out, it's kind of whatever. This game should be over pretty quickly. Can likely start even bouncing the goat if we want, while we draw the extra cards. Yeah, they're pretty dead. I can't even really think of a run out in those colors. Yeah, same. Been doing a bit of Minecraft myself. Oh no, they've got the support. They're looking to trade off into our Mim here. Surprised that they didn't attack Rafiki and attack the Fox, but I'm happy that they did not. We'll take our 3 cards. Fishhook can be useful here, but we don't necessarily need to do that now. I do think we should kill the RLS Legacy just to make sure that they've got really nothing going on. We can do... hit the RLS Legacy. Don't particularly need more cards, so let's Fox, hit it again. Just want to Fox again, maybe. We can Fox take this out. I suppose we probably just don't need the fish hook this game, given kind of how it's run out. Do this and quest here. I like their duck deck. It's kind of exciting. Okay, they trade. Draw some extra cards here. Next turn we're going to flood the board. Probably with a couple of things. Maybe a rabbit and a goat is acceptable. We probably could have put something else in the Queen's Castle, but the deck is cute. Yeah, it does have all the ducks. I can really appreciate what they're doing over here. It is not good, necessarily. It's a lot of vanilla cards, but I like what they're doing. Let's do all of these. Let's Maui bash this thing. Play the mini. And we'll just, like, I don't know, put all these idiots in our location. Draw another 6 cards or something. Alright, fair enough. I will rematch if they'd like. They decline. Understandable. Alright, we'll go again. I mean, you could have a mix, too. Like, you don't have to have all or nothing on it. You know, you can have one Dragonfire and a Tremaine, or... you know, you could have one Eric, one Dragonfire. You can mix it up. Mix and match. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that either. Like a 1-drop. The Pinocchio's probably good in this matchup. And get rid of a couple of cards. I don't want to overcommit too much. So obviously I'd like to make sure that I still have Inkables. That's pretty good. Get rid of one of the Mauis. We'll try to hold on to the other one, but we'll likely run out the snake, and then we'll just use this as ink, and that's okay. Hi, Asush. Simba. Kurzmo Fork is really annoying, because we can Pinocchio it, and it definitely slows their clock down a bunch. I have not. I have not really played other decks outside of this a ton. Not that we won't eventually, but probably after the tournament we'll branch out a bit more. How long are we going to leave this in play before we kill it? Because we don't really have any card draw, I guess we have to leave it in play for a little bit. It's fine, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I do think that this card is very strong. It's the probably best Weelo type card that they've printed so far. There is a world where I'm supposed to discard the Be Prepared, just to make sure that if they have like the Ursula or the Bare Necessities, that it doesn't really have a target. Which I think we'll probably be inclined to do soon-ish. So if they play 2 characters, this is going to gain an extra 2 lore, which is a bit annoying. I don't necessarily hate discarding the B-Prep here. I think I do get rid of the Minnie Mouse. So I sort of have 2 options. If I Pinocchio now, then I won't be able to Pinocchio their 3, which I think is maybe better for us. So I'm gonna just do this. I'm going to hit the Cursed Merfolk with the Snake and get rid of the B-Prep. Because I think that we can manage the board pretty well without it. And then I'm just going to do this and pass. There is a line where I could have quested with this and used the Fox to hit that instead. I think the 1 lore isn't really going to matter that much. They conceded. Fair enough. They don't ask how, they ask how many, right? We definitely don't need B-Prep right away. Going second. I reset all the way back to the beginning because I figured there wasn't really a super compelling reason not to. And it's good content to climb back up. I often hear that the grind is impossible and there's giant roadblocks at certain ranks, and I don't necessarily think that that's true. So I thought that I would demonstrate that it's really not like that. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it is like that, and we'll find out. Rafiki, that's a good card. Okay, I'll play one of my own and pass. Is this a mid-range or control or an aggro deck? It's probably more of like a mid-range or control deck than anything else. I wouldn't necessarily call this an aggro deck per se. And it a lot of times relies on getting to the ability to control the board with Be Prepared later, so it's probably more like a mid-range or a control deck. I'm down to probably play Crab, just raw. Don't necessarily think that I hate that, especially if they play something like Ursula. Let's play Maleficent. Yeah, definitely I'm gonna play the Crab here. If they quest with both, I'm definitely gonna take out the Rafiki. Is this the kind of matchup where I care about Jim dumping a location in on 5? Not necessarily. It is good, but I don't necessarily think that that's where we're going to end up. It could be. If we control the board enough, maybe it's fine. If I hit here, then the Maleficent just gets to eat our Rafiki, which is a little annoying. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Yeah, there's quite a few different versions. I quite like the green and purple style of deck. Like, I think this is a good deck as well. You know, the steel decks I think are quite good. There's a lot of decks that I actually think are pretty sweet in this format that I haven't fully explored, but I already have this one mostly put together. It's not a huge amount of new cards to try and learn the deck itself, so this is where I'm starting. And then we'll grind a little bit, and then we'll probably branch out. Yeah, this deck is a little tricky if you're starting. If you're coming from other TCGs, it's not as bad. Oh no, they got my Be Prepared. What are we gonna do? Unfortunately, I was going to sort of let that Be Prepared be our thing that we discarded a Flynn Rider here. But it's fine. Medusa's good. We can maybe wait on Flynn for right now. Until we get a little bit more cards. Like, their clock is not particularly fast. Just bash the crab and move on. Yeah, there's some aggro decks that we'll probably play throughout this that are a lot lower to the ground. But with so many Pinocchios and Steel seeing play, it's kind of hard out there. They played a Kit Cloud Kicker, which is fine. They're going to draw us an extra card. That is a-okay. If they opt to use this Ursula just to trade with the Merlin, I'm fine with that. They chose not to, but they did leave us the option of bashing and taking out one of their threats, which we might take the option of. We don't necessarily need this B-Prep at all. We could hit the Flynn Rider here, discard the B-Prep, and then we still have all these other cards. We can just play like a rabbit again. I don't hate that. We have plenty of removal for what's in their deck. This will slow down their clock a lot and still give us something to work with. Sure. That has Challenger. Let's play our Merlin here. Our Merlin Rabbit. Do we need to play this Rafiki? We'll have to ink something else if we do. Nah, I think we can just ink it. Pass. So the way that I've built this deck is we've tried to maximize the number of like 3/3s, 4/3s, and slightly larger cards so that we're not sort of always behind in these spots. We're able to sort of trade even or up with a lot of our cards, which ends up being very useful, I think. Another Ursula. It does not have any targets this time. I think we hit the Kit Cloud Kicker here. We very well could... The symbol with the 8 above my portrait. This is how many months that I've been subscribed to the Patreon for Pixelborn. Yeah, I think I am inclined just to do this. Draw a card. And then I don't feel like we're gonna need the fishhook too badly because we have the Medusa. But I'd like to maybe play this Rafiki here, and then we'll bash the Ursula. So this is just in case they end up killing the Fox. That still gives us another threat to attack their cards. We're getting close to wanting to play one of these locations and start putting some pressure on. Probably after I play the Medusa, I will do that. Especially if they run out like an Ursula, then this Medusa will be a lot better as well. Getting close to the point of being able to play this and like throw a couple characters in there. That's really where we want to be, ideally. So the Mother's knows best. That's fine. They bounce their own Ursula, sure. And they play a crab, also sure. It could be interesting, just giving some context to like different skill level options for decks that are there. Something to think about for sure. I think in this spot we're going to ink the goat. We don't necessarily need to be that fast. I'm just going to clear the board here. We'll leave our fox in play. Let them draw their one card. And we're just going to play the Medusa. Take out the crab as well. Then we'll gain one lore. I mean, it's kind of a misnomer to have decks that are like super better or super worse with higher skill level. I mean, you can have some decks that the general plan is that you sort of just play characters and then turn them sideways, which ends up being a lot more aggressive, just sort of an aggro deck style. Which is a little bit closer to what something maybe like the yellow-purple or yellow-red might be doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those decks are incredibly easy to play. I think we play this. We put 2 of these in here. We get rid of a Maui. And then I think we can just quest. And then say go. And then this is going to outweigh the cost of these to kill them. So they Queen's Castle themselves. So we're going to have to Maui the Queen's Castle as well here. But we're going to be able to clean up most of this, I suspect, even still. We may leave the Queen's Castle in play for a turn and just clean up all their characters. What is that going to get them to? So if they quested everything, they'll go to 13, so this would be 15. That's maybe fine. We'll just clean up all the characters and then leave them with just the castle. Because then it should be easy enough for us to take the castle out the turn following. With the fox, I think we can actually do both. Right, because we can have 4 attackers. Because we can do 1, 2, 3. Oh no, we're still 1 short. We can leave him with Ursula, I guess. That would probably be better. We'll discard the RLS Legacy and the snake. Actually, we can maybe discard the rabbit. We don't necessarily need the rabbit. So let's play Maui. Let's figure out what we're bouncing. I guess we're bouncing the Mim. Yeah, so let's do this. Get rid of the RLS Legacy. Sorry, we're going to bounce the Medusa, rather. They're all just Madams. Just Madam.deck. So let's hit this thing. Get rid of the snake. We'll play Fox. Bounce this. We'll bash here, here. And then we'll put this into the castle and say go. So there's Genie. There's not really a great target to bounce. You can bounce Maui if you want, it doesn't matter. The reason that we put the Medusa into our hand is because we can take out a Genie with it if we want, which is very good for us. You can also B-Prep. What does B-Prep do for us? We kill all 3 of these. We can B-Prep plus none of these cards, so we probably don't need to use the B-Prep just yet, since we have this. I'm down to sort of just play this, take this out, do this. We can get rid of the Maui, play a rabbit, because this also draws us the cards, so we lose out on this, but it's fine. And we bash, and then we'll close out the game in like 2 turns. Even with our own Be Prepared killing our stuff, that doesn't really matter. Chernobog's followers, they'll go to 16. No Pinocchio is unfortunate. Let's hit the Curse Merfolk. Let's get rid of the B-Prep even, but we'll take this out. And let's go quest, quest, quest. Let's play another Queen's Castle. Let's play a goat. And then let's just bounce the goat to our hand, and then pass. We don't need this crab. May as well put something into a location. This looks pretty done then. They don't have enough resources, even if they sacrifice this to draw a card. They don't really have enough resources to be able to play like goat bounce and do another thing. They just don't have enough ink for that. Run up the score of drawing cards, I suppose. I will play a rematch if they want. Looks like they did. No problem with that. I don't necessarily think that this matchup is particularly unfavored for us. Especially with the Rafikis in the deck. I don't think it's an awesome matchup, but I think it is not that bad. I think this is fine. We'll mulligan the ones that we can't really play early. It's a good hand. It's kind of what we want to see on the draw. It gives us an answer to Ursula, and then it gives us follow-up answers with the Mim as well. Evil Sushi, appreciate the follow. I don't know why those notifications are so loud. I don't know how to turn them down either. Is it this? I don't know which one's controlling the actual... the audio. Which audio is controlling the volume for that. I'm gonna get rid of Friends on the other side. It's our only song. And... I do kind of like all of our other Inkables. And we have plenty of draw with the Rabbit and the Queen's Castle. This way, if they play Ursula, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, it's fine, right? But it doesn't really affect our hand then. These cards are particularly obnoxious to interact with. Do we want to take out the Flynn Rider over the Curse Merfolk and get the Pinocchio down? Gives us another thing to bounce or to crab with. We'd be discarding something, I guess, which is kind of annoying. We'll get rid of Maui here. It means that we can't really interact with Ursula favorably, which sucks. We could always Fox our Rafiki if we bash the Curse Merfolk. What would we be getting rid of? Be a crab at best, I think. Don't really need the crab. We don't have to develop anything this turn. It's not the end of the world if we don't. Let's do this. Yeah, I think we can afford to wait. They don't play the Ursula this turn anyway. It's just all Flynn Riders all the way down. So we're just going to have to take a little bit of damage or let them gain a little bit of lore and then get to the point where we're bouncing our rabbit. I think we probably are supposed to just bin this Rafiki. Just like bounce the Rafiki and then bin it to the first Flynn Rider. And then we'll play rabbit and then bounce it with the other fox. I think I'm okay with that. We'll just gain our 1. Do this and hit here. And say go. I could have taken the 1 damage on the Rafiki instead of gaining the 1 lore. I think it's probably kind of a horse apiece. It is going to be unlikely that they use their Chernobog's followers to hit the fox anyway. If they do, they do. Gives them 1 less card anyway. It's like almost better for us. Because then they get 1 more turn of gaining lore before we get this online. Okay, that's fine. I wonder if they're just not going to ink. Be pretty good for us, actually. Interesting. So they opt not to ink. I get rid of Maui. Play the rabbit. We draw and pass. It's possible we were supposed to just ink this castle and keep a Maui. Gives us another card to interact with, but likely we're going to end up just bashing here. I guess we're going to take out one of these and the Ursula next turn. If they opt not to hit with the Maleficent, that's fine. They're thinking about singing with the Maleficent. But they have this Ursula that they want to sing with, so they're debating on whether or not they do anything with it. It's fine. They're playing this as full tempo. I think that's okay. I can get rid of Queen's Castle here. We can play Pinocchio, tap Ursula. Play the fox, bounce the Pinocchio, kill Ursula, and pass. This is the reason that I was considering keeping the Maui, because now we don't really have something to interact with a large card on board, so we may get drained out by the Flynn plus the location, unfortunately. They're likely going to trade their Maleficent with our Madame Fox here. If they don't trade with our Fox, it's probably going to be a mistake. But I could understand why they wouldn't. We'll see. Yeah, this should just be a Maui, I think. Respecting, like, the castle mostly. Alright, we'll play our rabbit. Do we want to get the Pinocchio down? Not necessarily. Are we going to have time for this goat? I don't think we have a choice to not. So, we're likely going to have to leave this castle in play for like 2 turns, which is a problem. We don't have time to sing this, because if we have to fish hook plus this to do That's not really enough. If we play this plus this, it's still not enough, so the Pinocchio doesn't make any sense. We have to hit the Flynn Rider here either way next turn. So I guess the play is just to get rid of this and pass. Yeah, this not being a Maui is costly. The first Maui that we got rid of is fine, the second one was problematic. We'll see. Yeah, we look pretty dead here. Not having the extra Maui, I think, cost us, because we just don't have any characters. We kept too many locations and not enough action to go with what we were doing. We can do this, get rid of the RLS Legacy, but we're just not going to have enough juice to take out the Queen's Castle here. We get rid of this now. Like, we can take out the Tinkerbell next turn, but it's just not going to be enough, I don't think. Let's do this and draw a card and then see where that leaves us. Another RLS Legacy. Well, that's not it. Let's do this. B-Prep. Yeah, B-Prep's not it either. Okay, it looks like they got us this game. That's unfortunate. I don't think I played this very well. We left ourselves very little options with the way that we chose to ink. Which happens in a deck like this. Sometimes you don't ink very well, and then it costs you the game. We just don't have the ability to kill both of these plus the castle with what we have in our hand. Because I can pay 5 for this, we can take out the Tinkerbell. We can kill this, but then they still have the Queen's Castle that gets us. We can B-Prep, but they still have the Queen's Castle that gets us, and we don't have enough damage here. Sure, they got me. Unlikely that they'll opt to play again, but they might if they're looking to battle the best of 3. Nice, they opted for it. That's cool. Don't need the Medusa, don't need the RLS Legacy. We could hold on to the gem for ink. It's probably fine. Okay, neat. Definitely a lot of variety going on with our hand, for sure. Suspect we're going to have to ink most of our characters, or most of our things that are ink here. I'm considering inking this Teeth just so that it can't get Ursula'd. Can I even afford to play this Cusco? I don't think so. We don't really need the 1/2 body anyway. If I had the ability to play the Teeth, I could see casting it there. But since we can't actually play the Teeth, I don't think it really matters a ton. Like, I think we're in a position where we just ink the Cusco and pass, and then we start by playing the Rabbit. It is not the most exciting turn 4 play. Could even play the RLS Legacy, but it's kind of a do-nothing. It does put a clock on them, though. We'll think about it. That's unfortunate. Putting a clock on them wouldn't be embarrassing. Given that we drew a goat, we could instead of drawing 1 card. So the reason that I would want to draw the 1 card is that it helps smooth out our inking situation here. The alternative is that we play the goat, and then it gives us a larger body to deal with this Ursula without it necessarily needing to be Maui'd. But us Maui'ing it is not the end of the world. So I think given that, I'm okay doing this. I'm just playing the Rabbit. This could have been a better draw. This gives us more options as far as our inking here. We're going to draw 4 cards, which is not ideal for us. I would say we had a pretty crummy draw, but such is life. If they Cloud Kicker my rabbit, that would be even better. That's great for us. I don't think that this is a good play at all. I mean, maybe they just don't care about us having cards, I suppose. If that's the case, then I guess it's fine if they're planning on just trying to do pure tempo. But I think that it's probably not a great way to approach the matchup. I could be wrong. This gym could be good because of how many locations that we have. And I definitely think maybe 1 Maui is fine, since we can always tap something and fox it then. We just straight do this and pass. And then we have this Medusa as well next turn. As well as just B-Prep. This is probably a game where B-Prep is going to be viable. If they overcommit a little bit, because they have so many cards in hand. We'll see. We'll see how this ends up shaking out. Presumably they're just going to quest with their characters some more. Bouncing their Cloud Kicker, sure. That is fine. I'm A-okay to just Medusa this Flynn Rider. This is 7. We can also gym plus the RLS Legacy. We'll see what they play for their other 2-drop here. It's just another Flynn Rider. If it's another Flynn Rider, we could consider the gym plus RLS Legacy line leading into the B-Prep. They'll go to 11. That might be fine, actually. Obviously, if they get our B-Prep, it's going to be pretty brutal, but sometimes you kind of have to play that game. So that we can start getting on the board. Because they're approaching, like, Genie territory as well, which does make having the Medusa in play a little bit better. We'll see. This is where the 2-drop Ursula is quite strong. Because if our setup plan is that we, you know, sort of B-Prep next turn, then if they don't commit anything new to the board, or if they just play the Ursula, like, then it doesn't really help us to be in this situation, right? Because now the Be Prepared doesn't really do much. There is even a world where... Nah, we save too many cards by blowing these up rather than attacking them. Hopefully they play something like an Ursula. They bounce Jim Hawkins. I mean, that's fine, I think. Do we just not even care about the gym anymore and care more about the Rafiki? Kind of. We're gonna have plenty of resources otherwise. I think I just B-Prep here. And then pass. And then we can Medusa and a single individual large problem. And then followed up with the Pinocchio plus the Fox to sort of deal with the rest of their stuff. Can we kill that in one hit? I don't think so. We have no songs for this. That doesn't do anything. We can double Fox the castle. Is that worth it? Probably. So we'll Play Rafiki. We'll Fox the Rafiki. Hit the castle. Fox again. The castle. Then we'll ink Rafiki. And then pass. We'll go to 12 with this Ursula. If they decide to quest with it, of course. You can't Cloud Kicker the Fox. But we are getting within range of being able to, for example, like do Rabbit plus Fox plus something. Or Medusa plus Fox, so... But this is definitely an aggro deck that is pretty favored against us if they have a draw similar. What the f was that? They have Beast Relentless in their deck? Good lord, why? Huh? That's so weird. I mean, I guess. Okay, let's play this. We'll take out the Flynn Rider. The question is, how much do I care about this Ursula? I mean, I'm hitting it either way. I'm just debating on whether or not I want to kill this Rabbit more. In case they have Bounce. I don't know how much they actually play Bounce in their deck outside of Fox, though. I don't think we need this gem, for sure. Yeah, maybe I do Pinocchio. No, we want to save that for an actual Ursula, like a real problem. Let's just do this. And then pass. Because now I can actually mim the Medusa back. And then replay it on the Genie as well. Hi, Usko. How are you doing? Thanks for the follow. They bounce their own Rabbit. Sure. I think that's fine, actually. Our clock isn't super fast, but I don't actually think that that's a huge problem for us. We can't also take out the Chernobog's followers, but we can definitely take out this Genie in a bunch of different ways. We can put it in the Arliss Legacy, tap it, and just attack it. We could actually kill everything on their board. By just attacking it with the Pinocchio. Maybe that's fine. We don't get the extra bounce on the Rabbit, but maybe that's okay. Because we can go put you here. We can Pinocchio the Genie. Just bash this. And then we can mim Fox the Pinocchio. Replay the Pinocchio on the Chernobog's followers. We can hit here. And then we can just move this into the location. And then quest here and pass. Like, we could have also bounced the Medusa and replayed the Medusa, but I think this puts more material on the board. Which I think is more useful. It slows down their clock to nothing, right? But also fills our board with stuff. And they don't have a board wipe in green and purple. They just don't have anything that takes out multiple cards in a single go. They're already on a pretty fast clock with the Arliss Legacy. Plus we combine it with all this other stuff. I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Puts us to 11, so I think that we play a Rabbit first. Let's see where we're at. If we quest with these 4, that'll put us up to 15. 16 with the goat. I think that that's better than just drawing 2 cards. We don't actually need the extra ink here, I don't think. So let's just do this, 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 and quest here. We'll put this in the RLS Legacy, and then we'll just play goat and pass. And then this game should be over this turn. I don't believe that they'll have an option of winning from this spot. We just have too many characters. All of them are evasive. And really all that they have is some bounce, like tempo things. Which is generally pretty good for us. So we were able to fight through the drawing 4 cards with the Ursula, which generally we try to stop if we can, but it is just cards, and a lot of their cards are kind of very samey, so not a big deal. Draw an extra card. Nice. What colors for your combo? Alright, so good game from our opponents. A well-played matchup there, but we do end up taking it down 2-1. So unfortunately, we didn't play super well in game 2, but I think it was good enough that we were fine there. So. But we got to play best of 3, those are always fun. I'll probably offer a best of 3 to pretty well anybody that wants it. Because I think it's important to actually get those games in on the draw, because you are going to be on the draw a lot in this game. With the Into the Pride Lands. Yeah, those are some cool cards. Maui is pretty good in this matchup. In general. Might be more useful than the Queen's Castle, actually. We'll run out this and pass. We likely won't quest with this if they have something that can challenge it back. But we're going to try and crab, likely the Pluto. I will ink the Mauis if we have to, right? But ideally we don't have to ink them all. So we'll get to use the crab to kill the Pluto here, assuming that they use it to play something. Again, even if I have to use the Maui for it. They play a Rocket Stitch. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I guess we bin Jim and just play a 3-3 and say go. Excited about this rabbit because it's going to allow us to draw cards, which would be nice. They can play a 4. They can just play more Pongos. Draw 2 cards. Yeah, I guess we're inking the goat here. So we can play this rabbit and draw another card. And say go. So we have the option of cleaning up all of these Plutos next turn. They're going to be able to play a 5 or 6 this turn, which is unfortunate. If it's something like a Medusa, that's going to be a bit of a problem. So they'll likely take out the crab. They play Perdita to get the Rocket Stitch. It's pretty bad for us. So they can do that again if they quest with Perdita, but we can use the Maui to fight it. We can't do Pinocchio plus the Maui this turn. It was an unfortunate draw, though. We can take out both of these Plutos. They can get one back with the Perdita. We can fight Teeth here. We can Teeth and Maui, and then we can actually Medusa the Perdita next turn. So we don't even need the Teeth. We just attack here, attack here. Yeah, that'll be fine. We just need an Inkable, and we can Medusa the Perdita, which I think is reasonable here. So let's do this. We'll clean up the mana ramp stuff a bit, and then we'll say go. Sorry, the ink ramp from the Plutos. The Rocket Stitch in this deck with the Perdita seems pretty strong. Obviously both are uninkable, as are all these Plutos. So far every card that they've played is uninkable. However, I do think that this is a good card. Obviously it's a little rough against Maui. What I'm hoping... I have not played against Red Steel Pirates. In general, I would say that this deck should not be terribly unfavored because we have a lot of ways of challenging locations. I don't really know what the best deck for the tourney will be tomorrow. I'm likely going to play some version of RP. It very well could be that the green steel deck that's been doing well is the best deck, or you know, it could be the purple-green deck that just runs the Ursula and does well there. It's hard to say. So if they opt not to attack with this Perdita, that's going to be good for us. Well, they didn't... we didn't draw an Inkable. But we can do this to take out the Perdita, so that's fine. I can attack with this as well. If they want to draw us a card, that's fine. Hopefully they don't have exactly Rapunzel to heal this Gothel. It starts at 9 a.m., so it's in about 6.5 hours or so. Unfortunate. I may actually hold this rather than inking it. We don't really need more than 6. And this could be better than the Medusa next turn, depending. I may even keep the Pinocchio, but I don't think I need to. I can just do this and pass. If they want to trade their Gothel with my Pinocchio, that's fine. It is a little bit tighter. Like, you can actually play less Uninkables in this deck than what I have. I've added more Inkables specifically because I've added more Uninkables specifically because of how I've wanted to be playing it, but you don't necessarily have to play it that way. What does this do? Reveal 3, put 2 or less into your hand, rest on the bottom. We can take out Lucky here with Medusa. This is at 16 right now. We could have also Pinocchio'd it, but I think we may as well just develop our board with this. And then just quest. There's a world where, like, I bounce the rabbit just so that we have another draw, but I can't actually replay the rabbit this turn anyway, so it doesn't feel great. Perdita getting back another Rocket Stitch, that's fine. If they want to trade with any of our cards, it doesn't matter here. It's probably because some of your cards that you previously had wanted to just send to the Inkwell or bounce and send to the Inkwell, you need to use as actual whole cards now. So things like the Rafiki feels like you have to use it as an actual card, and you're not necessarily able to send them to the Inkwell. So things like that actually do matter. Like, also the fact that you really need to use your Mauis a lot this set means that you can't ink them either. Whereas before, Maui could be ink in a lot of spots. Now you really, like, it does a lot of work. So you have to be a little bit more conservative with your inking choices. Which could mean that we want to shave, say, one of our Medusas just to go up on our inkable count as well. Go to 15 or even 14. Because currently I'm on all 4 Medusas, but we don't necessarily need all 4 of them either. There's still some room to play a little bit in there. We don't need the Medusa, and we can probably send a gym back. And then the rest of this is fine, I think. Obviously, we have to be aware of bare necessities, so we're probably going to ink at least one of these friends on the other side. I'm okay with that. I will play out Rafiki and pass. Right now, it is currently 100% over Tremaine, yeah. You saw in a lot of those spots, Tremaine would have been pretty terrible, whereas the Medusa did exactly what we wanted or needed. So here we're in a bit of a bind, because they're likely going to try to draw 3 cards. We could just blast the Gothel now and prevent the card draw. But it doesn't really forward our game plan then either. Which is unfortunate. I think I'd rather do this. We'll ink a Rafiki and play a snake. And then we'll just let them Gothel us once, and that's life. Yeah, there are a lot of situations for both of them, but I think the not having the ability to choose is a very real cost of having one over the other. So if they have another Rapunzel, no matter what choice we make here, it's going to be really bad, which is unfortunate. We can leave them with the Gothel and the Rapunzel for a turn, and put out a Rafiki and a snake here, and then have this one untapped. That might be worthwhile. It doesn't really set us up to be able to friends. We could also just, like, Fox and trade with the Gothel and leave them with just Rapunzel. Leaves us with kind of a naked board. Which I don't love either. We could hit here and then just put this back in our hand. Okay, let's bash here. Alright, let's just do this and pass. Because we have so many friends on the other side. We are getting buried a bit. Which is not that surprising given how our run out was on the draw. Okay, they're opting to attack with both. We can take out the Rapunzel here if we want. If we leverage Teeth and Ambitions. Feels like no matter what I do, I'm going to have to play into Rapunzel a little bit. Just because we're so resource jammed here. Okay, 4 snakes is maybe a little too many snakes. Okay, I think I'm going to do this. And say go. 4 snakes is a lot of snakes. But now we have a little bit more meat on the board. They draw nothing, right? Because it's just cost 2 or less. Oh, that's cute. They get to do this again, I guess. Interesting. Hopefully it draws them some cards, because otherwise they're just going to lose their character for free, which is going to be kind of sad for them. Honestly, there's a world where I should have just boomed this Gothel right away. They just do it to protect the Lucky. Interesting. Okay, how does that make us feel? Do we just not care about the 1 here? I don't know if I have the luxury of caring about the 1. I think I have to just play a rabbit. Does putting another mouse in play do anything for us? Or would I rather have the ink? I think I'd rather have the ink here. And then I'm just going to pass. What a weird spot where if they have another Rapunzel in hand, if we sort of overcommit a little bit, they just get to draw another grip, which is a problem because we just can't play all the cards in our hand fast enough. So they get a new dog. Where do these go if they miss? Bottom. That's 2 Perditas on the bottom. And a Rockstar Stitch, and there's a Rockstar Stitch in here as well. I think our game plan is just to draw 2 B-Prep. Which is not an awesome plan, but it is certainly a plan. So they play their new dog. I would also accept drawing into... not that. It's not bad, but... I would accept drawing into like a Pinocchio to take out like the Lucky here too. We draw 2 cards. Ink Gem. It's not what we need in this spot here. I'm gonna snake the rabbit. We're gonna play the rabbit. We're going to do a lot of game actions to not really progress our board and then pass. Okay. 2, 3. We have 4 characters that are threatening to kill something over there if it's tapped. A little bit of a stalemate, but I think that they're favored here because of the Lucky. See how much damage this is. I don't think it's quite lethal, but it's not great. Damn, that's a ton. So we're gonna have to hit B-Prep immediately, basically. And even then, it's not a good spot for us to be, now that we don't have the teeth either. Forgot about Lucky's secondary ability. Okay, how are we interfacing with this here? I kind of have to do this. Okay, so that'll work. And we do have a Teeth and Ambitions, so that can be valuable. I think we can get rid of one of these Mauis. Maui just doesn't seem like that's the answer. So let's quest with all these. And we'll hit the B-Prep. And then we'll pass. So we're still not in an awesome spot here. If they just like play 2 things, like 2, 3 toughness things or whatever, then we're pretty well dead. We can deal with a Surfer reasonably well. We're gonna have to take out our rabbit here, I guess. That's actually a good draw. So we have to double Teeth here. Now he just isn't it anymore. But we can do 2 damage here, here, 2 damage here, here. And then pass. We're in, like, we have to kill literally every single card that they play forever mode, which is not great. Piglet is their only card. That's good for us. Here's Medusa. Okay, we remove the crab. We play Rafiki. Snake on the Medusa and pass. So they can't quite play Perdita. I don't know what's in their hand. So they inked a Rapunzel. That surprises me. Maybe they have the ability to play 2 cards if they do that. Yes, that would make sense. So we need a Pinocchio. I think we're dead. Pinocchio would give us 5/9. So if this draws Pinocchio, we're okay. No, that's still not enough, right? Is there a run out where we can kill both? I can't Medusa both. Medusa costs 6. Medusa 1. We could rip teeth, I think. No, we're out of teeth as well. I think we're just dead. I don't think there's anything that we can draw individually. Okay, they got me. I don't know why they declined a rematch, but sure. Unfortunate. It was a close game, though. It's games like that that really make me want the additional Pinocchio, because not seeing it, like, is really unfortunate. Pinocchio's just been so overperforming with the way that the deck just, like, is so focused on challenging now, that the ability to sort of break serve on a lot of that is very important. So we don't have any draw here. Maybe send the goat back. Ink a mini. See if we can find like a rabbit. There have been some that have been going up to 3 Pinocchios, and I can definitely see that being reasonable. It's a good draw. Just want to play another Rafiki, maybe. It's not a great matchup in playing a bunch of Rafikis, but it's probably fine. It's entirely likely that this deck just isn't the best for climbing either. Because it's so grindy, like the games just take a long time. So I guess maybe I get rid of one of these to play this Pinocchio. I'll hit the Rafiki. And then we'll quest out here. And I'm probably just going to play the Queen's Castle immediately. Depending upon what they play, of course, but I assume this is the Jafar combo deck. Yeah. We'll ink the mini here. I'll play the Queen's Castle. What are the odds that they want to quest with this Jafar? Probably not high, but they're likely to sing with it. Maybe we just pass. Don't really need to make it vulnerable to the 4-3 or the 3-4 Jafar unnecessarily. Surprised that they have the Sorcerer's Hat in here. I suppose if there's, you know, 16 Jafars or whatever, it's probably not so bad. And this one lets you look at both. It's kind of cute. They opted to sing. Reasonable. I can take out both Jafars next turn, actually, if I want. Which I think we'll probably do. Especially because they have the Shift Jafar, we'll just kill them both. Which means that we have to not have the Maui, I suppose. It's fine. So let's quest here. Bounce the Pinocchio. Play the Pinocchio. Tap this. We'll hit this one. This one. We'll quest for one. And we'll pass. Now our opponent has a Jafar in hand, but they are pretty far from being able to shift or really do anything with it. I'd like to load up my castle with these dorks, but I am not as concerned about it, seeing as how our opponent can just swords and kill our board, which is pretty likely. Like, there's a world where I want them to draw 7 so that we have a new hand. But at the same time, like, I kind of don't want them to have any real gas going on while we have the castle cooking. They play a genie, which gives them the ability to bounce something if they're so inclined. So we have teeth, which doesn't really do anything. 2, 3, 4. Oh, I know. I'm aware of what they're playing. Just get rid of the teeth and say go. Yeah, it's all in on Jafar, which I think is fine, but if you interact with their few cards that they're playing, then like, they're getting buried by the Queen's Castle, right? I haven't drawn a single card from it. It's just been a gain 2 lore location, and we've been fine. Like, they might just play their Jafar and wheel this turn. Like, if this is Whole New World, they can... I guess they can't even sing it with Genie, because Genie's 4. Oh, they can do the lamp, sure. Does that even do anything with the Jafar? He's not exerted, right? So they don't gain any lore. And they get to draw 2 cards, which is fine. Like, what do you even bounce here? Bouncing Fox seems pretty awkward. Since I have this and this. They're using the Genie as not drawing cards, which makes sense, I guess. So they kind of have to do something, but it looks like they're dead, so... Alright, that's 8 games. And they declined a rematch. Sure. We'll have to look and see what we're losing to. If it's something that Pinocchio would be really good, we'll probably go up Pinocchios. Blue steel. Okay. Rafiki Snake is good. Teeth and Ambitions is unnecessary against Blue Steel. Fishhook is actually good against them, I've found. Probably don't need the Goat. Get rid of these. Most of these cards are pretty good, though. Honestly, Arliss Legacy isn't terrible against them either. Just as a way of gaining lore. Let's do this, and we'll play the Rafiki and pass. It doesn't really matter. It could have been the Always Classy, because we're likely going to snake it right away anyway. We'll see what sort of flavor of Blue Steel they are, if they're more traditional or if they have a little bit more of the aggressive nonsense in there. Yes, we played the same card. Mine is just a Rafiki. Definitely don't need the Always Classy. We may end up putting this Rafiki back out at some point, but definitely don't need it for right now. This does shut down their hook. That means if we draw the Pinocchio, which, again, we're in a spot where we wish we had an additional Pinocchio. Makes it so that we could bully the Captain Hook kind of for free. Okay, we drew a Maui. Maui's really good in this matchup, so we'll probably try to hold that if we can. Given that, it's possible that we do just ink the Rafiki. What did they cast? Oh, one jump ahead, right, that makes sense. I do think that the Fishhook is quite strong in this matchup, so I think I'm just going to play it and pass. It's also good with the Maui, which is nice. This gives our characters evasive occasionally, but also means that it's very easy to challenge locations in case they're playing like the some of the bigger and better ones. Something along the lines of Scrooge McDuck Mansion. It doesn't quite have the same oomph if you can just one-shot it with Maui. So they double ink, which means they're probably trying to set up a wheel, if I had to guess, which is fine. They play Annoy, that's also okay. Are they looking to quest with their Captain Hook? No. Okay. So, given that we drew another Maui, Maui is still good against this deck. I'm probably going to play an Arliss Legacy just to get some pressure on. I'm just debating if I want to keep a Friends on the other side or if I want to ship it. And I think I could just ship it. I'd rather just have the Mauis. Like, the rest of our hand is pretty gas. We'll just play this and pass. And then now we have a bit of pressure on. So even if they're trying to set up to just do you know, this kind of nonsense every turn or whatever, that's fine. They sack their Quill, which makes their Noi a little bit worse, but it does draw them some cards. I'm down to put a bunch of Mauis into play. We can start questing now with the Snake as well. Currently, they're pretty far from being able to deal with this Arliss Legacy, so they are on a clock. Mouse Armor. I see. They can give this resist 2 if they're so inclined. Hopefully they attack with it as well. It does. Noi was not super traditional in those decks, but Yeah, it doesn't look terribly far from that. Gym to play another location. Interesting. I think I could do that next turn. Given that we can Maui this pretty well for free. And then we can protect our Maui from crackback. I think I'm down to do that. And then next turn we'll play Jim Hawkins and we'll just dump a bunch of our things into the RLS Legacy. They still can't sing A Whole New World. Like, their best line here is Quest with Flaversham, and then it just gets Maui'd. I'm not necessarily sure that that's a great spot. It draws them 2 cards, so I definitely would do it if their hand is medium. I have 2 fish hooks currently. I think that's a good number. It's inkable, but like the second one loses a lot of value. Okay. I'm glad that I gave this evasive. Yeah, the second hook is a lot worse than the first one. Like, the first one is very good. It can be ink, so like 2 copies doesn't really hurt you too much, but I think if you had 3, it would be a little excessive. If it becomes like a must-have in the matchup, I could see going up to 3, but I probably wouldn't do more than that. But 2 feels like a pretty good number with the amount of draw that's in the deck. I think 2 is generally pretty good. They are opting to quest. Do I have a command? I mean, I have some commands, yeah. I don't know if any of them really tell us much about this deck. I don't know if I saved it. No, I did. It should just still be the Jim's location. I didn't add this current list, but it is under the profile. So here, I guess we just, like, hit all of their things. It's kind of comfortable, right? Just do that. Play Jim. Play an RLS Legacy. And then we'll give something else evasive, I suppose. They don't really have any rush, so it doesn't really matter, but we'll keep this. I think it's better than inking it, unless they exactly cast Whole New World. I think it's just a more useful card, especially if you draw like a rabbit or something, but I think there's an argument for just inking it here. I may have to review the inkable counts in this deck, because I think we might be a little high. They played Beast. That's fair. So we did draw a rabbit. Let's play our rabbit to start. Rabbit draws us a fish hook. Again, we don't need the redundant fish hook, I don't think. We can't really interact with the Beast here super favorably, so I guess we just cram some of these dorks into this RLS Legacy. We will give this one evasive as well. I think we just quest and pass, let them draw their 2 cards. I generally, even in a deck like this, I wouldn't go over like 16, maybe 17 uninkables. Like, it already feels pretty rough sometimes. But because this deck has the ability to like bounce 1-drops back to your hand, to be able to ink them, it has the rabbits, and it has other draw and ways of like putting our cards back into our hand. You can get away with it, but I think this one at even 16, so many of our inkable cards are ones that we like actually want to play now. Like, you need Maui so much more than ever before. It makes me want to add in more inkables just to be able to support, you know, leaving Maui, right? So they don't Whole New World, they just die on board. That's reasonable, I suppose. Well, not exactly, but there may not have been anything that they could do because all of our things had evasive. Let's see if they want to battle again. How does it say that I'm 8-2, but I only have 9 games played? That doesn't seem right. We'll double check our count after this. Maybe it is 10 games. Can double check pretty easily though. We'll get rid of these. We'll keep the rabbit and the Queen's Castle. Another rabbit is not as good, and the Pinocchio is a little awkward. We'll probably have to ink the Queen's Castle, which is fine. Let's start by inking the Cusco and playing the Rafiki. They let me go first. That's odd. Why? Did they want the extra card, I guess? Alright. Guess we have enough draw that we can get rid of that. The Rafiki will be good to trade with something in combination with the Pinocchio if we have to, but the way that our hand is, we'll likely want to be using these rabbits as soon as we can. It's possible that we can go down to 3 of these. I do think the card is very good, but we can maybe shave to 3 of these and add another inkable. I don't know where we're going to fit this other Pinocchio then. It's kind of rough. It's hard out here, trying to figure out your deck list. I'm mostly trying to figure out my deck for tomorrow. In about 6 hours, there's a tournament, so we won't play too much longer today. Because we're going to be playing basically all day tomorrow. But there's a tournament in about 6 hours, so we're kind of trying to narrow in on a list that we might want to do. We're getting pretty close, I think, to what I'm, you know, relatively happy with. I think we'll get rid of Friends on the other side because we have double rabbit here. And we'll just run out a rabbit and pass. Triple rabbit. If we had another uninkable, or another inkable that wasn't specifically Maui, I think I would have felt better about my inkable options there, but if they play Beast, we'll give them 1 turn of drawing and then we'll Medusa it. Scrooge McDuck. Sure. Of all the cards, that is one of them. We'll play another one of these. We'll get rid of this. And we'll pass. I don't know if they're playing Lucky Dime or something, but I don't really want to find out. I guess it is a 3/5 evasive. It's kind of interesting. It's only on their turn, right? So we can still Maui it pretty comfortably. I don't hate the idea of doing this and just suiting these up either, but I'm likely going to run out this Medusa to take something out, either the Scrooge McDuck or just the Tinkerbell. We'll see what else they do this turn. So this is a 5. They didn't play Robin Hood this turn to play Tinkerbell specifically. So are they looking to shift their Tinkerbell into Big Tink, I guess? It's the only thing I can reasonably think of that would make sense to do this line. So given that, I think what we're going to do is just Medusa this. And then pass. Actually, I think I'm fine questing here now. If they want to play their Lucky Dime, they can. Because then we can Medusa or Maui it without necessarily needing the Pinocchio. And I wouldn't mind drawing one card off of these at this point. Big Tink? What? Where'd they get that? That's so unlucky for us. It's not, it doesn't actually matter. They opt to just pass. This is good with the rabbit. I think the way this game is shaking out, I think the Queen's Castle is going to be more useful. Let's do this. Quest with these two and pass. We'll keep the Medusa back for now. This was a world where I wanted to be able to bounce the Medusa back to my hand to be able to interact with what they're playing, but I think that this, and then just like putting 3 characters into it, is going to be pretty useful. So they grab your sword, we draw 2 cards. Surprised they didn't do that last turn, I guess. It's fine that they didn't, just a little surprising is all. Maybe they just drew it this turn. I may end up teething this beast. Let's see what we draw off the rabbit here. Maybe teeth here. Makes our locations a lot worse if we teeth it. But it does stop them from drawing cards. If our locations are worse, then maybe we get rid of one of them. Let's play this. And then do this and pass. I may have a turn where I just dump 2 locations so that they have to Whole New World if they have it. Play a Hercules and a Noi. So that's their whole hand. So they're intending on trying to protect this beast. Interesting. Let's see what we draw. Another location. Okay, I think our play is to start with this and then see what we draw. We drew a fox. Well, that is a good draw. So we'll hit the Hercules. I will quest for 1. Yeah. We'll do this. Bounce here. Ink a castle. Play a Medusa. Hit the McDuck. And then we'll mim the beast. And then pass. And then now we're in a position where we can drop double location. Pretty comfortably. That Popsicle's a good draw from our opponent for sure. If they Popsicle into Beast, it's pretty bad for us if we don't draw a bounce. Yep. Fair enough. I doubt that they're going to attack with Noi. I mean, they might. Seems kind of silly. We have B-Prep here. I'd rather let them draw 2 cards this turn. So so we can develop our locations. And then we can do this the following turn. Because this gives them a pretty quick clock. They could opt to remove one of our locations if they drew something like a Zeus. They could attack it and then remove it, but we can still be prep with one of them in play. I think is going to be relevant to gain some lore here. Ideally, they just like play more shit. What is happening? Nothing. I see. Fair enough. Okay, so we'll quest here. We'll send a B-Prep. We'll play the mini, and we'll put it in the Queen's Castle and pass. And then we'll just ship it back. And then if they can't remove the Queen's Castle or the mini, then they might have double Listro, I suppose. They have one Listro, so mini should have 2 damage on it. I mean, they're on a very short clock here. Like, if we just B-Prep, the game is over, because they can't remove all of these locations. We can also just play the goat, and then they are also dead. What if we just put them both in here and give them evasive? So we don't need more cards. We just need to untap with any of them. That is fine. Alright, we will take it with our locations. Alright, so in theory, that's 11 games. So we were previously 12-3. Refresh it real quick here. Let's make sure that our game count is correct. We are 8-2. So somehow I added a game somewhere. That's fine. Still a pretty good win rate at 80%, I would say. We'll play a couple more games before calling it, just to see how we're feeling with a few more of the matchups. We still haven't ran into like a green steel, which I suspect that we'll run into a bunch tomorrow. Goats are okay in this matchup, but they're a lot less good on the draw. I maybe want to keep one for ink, though. That's a good hand, actually. Less good on the draw, but it's still a good hand. We'll see if they have a 1-drop or not. They do not. This is a really good card in this matchup. Get rid of the Merlin. Goat. We'll play out our Rafiki and pass. So here's the thing about the fish hook in this matchup, is once it's down, they don't really have an answer for it. And it kind of allows you to bully things like Surfer Mini, which end up being pretty valuable, I think. Let's do this. We'll quest here, and we'll snake it back and pass. Especially if they play Surfer and we just followed up with the Fish Hook, like, it's just a dead card then. Literally has no text anymore, which is why I've cut them from the deck entirely, because even on the draw, it's just not good. Ooh, their hand is bad. That's too bad. Let's play Rafiki, play a Fish Hook, Quest. We could have also developed a Crab this turn, held the Fish Hook a little longer, but it's kind of a horse apiece when you play this. Like, whether we have the 3/3 in play or whether we have the Fish Hook, it's about the same. They played the Surfer into the Fish Hook. I love that for us. Kind of love that for them, too. They're really out there doing it. I'm going to get rid of one of these crabs. I'm just going to play this. I'm going to give this evasive. And then, I don't know, whatever they want to do with this Minnie Mouse is fine. This is the list that's running Chernobog's followers. This is one of the really early sort of RP lists running like the genies and stuff. Wow, they just straight quest with their mini, huh? Very, very interesting. We don't actually need Crab that much since we have the Fish Hook. Especially since we've got the Maui here. Let's give something evasive, I suppose. Could protect the Mim. Let's protect Maui. If they want to Maui us back, that's fine. We are going to need some card draw. Pinocchio would have been nice to have this turn, but we'll see if they just want to draw 3 cards with their Genie. I don't actually think that this card is very good. I like the idea of it. Like, the drawing 3 cards is obviously very powerful and is putting us in not a great spot. But once we hit 6, like, we can just Medusa that card going forward, and that's pretty brutal, you know? So it ends up being a bit problematic because of that. Get rid of Teeth. Guess we just quest here. Give it evasive, I don't know. I don't really want to play any of these other cards. Hold on to the Foxes for now. Inking is still valuable because if we get into a spot where we have something that draws us cards, that would be very nice. We haven't really played that many cards, unfortunately. Tremaine, sure. I would probably quest with the Medusa here. Kind of surprising that they didn't. I guess it's fine, like you don't have to, but I really want to play this goat and then bounce it. Which means I guess we have to get rid of one of the Foxes. Goat. Bounce goat. Okay, your turn. I would like something that says draw a card on it. Would be really nice. Seeing as how we currently have nothing that draws a card. It's an awful lot of Tremaines and Medusas. Do we just B-prep here? Probably. Yeah, let's just B-prep. Say go. We've had no cards that draw other cards, just a bit awkward. I might B-prep this if we don't draw Medusa. Can we afford to let them draw another 3 cards? Awkward. Like 1-for-1ing doesn't feel great, but maybe it's fine. Queen's Castle's fine. Prince Eric is fine. Prince Eric doesn't really have text. That's a little awkward, because now I can't, like, teeth the Prince Eric. But it's fine. Play Maui, give Challenger, kill the castle. I mean, I could kill the Prince Eric and force the Maui to be the target, but I don't have to. Like, at best, they're getting too low out of the Prince Eric, which is fine. Okay. They get to untap their Prince Eric, sure. I guess we'll play Queen's Castle now. We'll put this in there. They have 5, so if they have a crab, they can still kill the castle. Inking does some, but not a lot here. Be Teeth and Ambitions. I think it's fine. Give that evasive and pass. I'm surprised he didn't force the Maui to kill the Prince Eric. I guess he wants to try and kill a second thing. Not... I guess he could play Maui to kill the castle. Maui plus Mim. Is he gonna double crab here? He's gonna fox, sure. I'm surprised that he didn't just fox the crab then, instead of having to attack with both. The crab was redundant, because this only has 7. So the crab was entirely pointless in that spot then. I can keep the Prince Eric alive if I want, but I'm not sure that that's even relevant. I may as well just kill it now. I could have given it evasive, and then I don't have to challenge it, but we're just going to do this and pass. We're going to lose this game because our opponent has drawn 6 more cards than we have. Like, not having a rabbit or a location that draws cards sooner or whatever has been a bit of a problem. We just haven't been able to play that many spells. Play, what, 8 spells that actually went to the bin and didn't go into the inkwell. So there's a Queen's Castle. I almost just have to do... this plus this. And then just quest immediately. I don't really have much of a choice. We're just buried by the extra fox in their hand, too. We just don't have enough cards to play with, unfortunately. Trade the snake for the gem, sure. Some interesting choices. Quest for 2, I suppose. It's not like an embarrassing card. We're gonna go to 16. We're gonna go to 16. I don't think the 1 matters here. I don't even know what we can draw to be able to close before they kill us. It almost has to be B prep, but we just like 7 cards is too many as a difference. It's too bad. No rabbits versus some rabbits and 2 genies. They're playing genies and rabbits. Jesus. Okay. I don't really know where they have the room for all of that, but whether this quests or just smashes, it's the same, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I guess they got us. Sure. Unfortunate. They declined a rematch. Okay. I wonder, I should adjust the deck before we play for what I think I should be playing. I believe that it should be 1 more Pinocchio. Probably. Maybe 1 less Medusa. Feels really bad though. Maybe we cut an RLS Legacy. Go to 5 locations. And then we shave Jim down to 3 to add in another Cusco. Although we only have 5 locations. I wish this was larger to be able to work better with the Pinocchio. But it's probably fine. Alright, let's try that. Update that in this thing. So it's an extra Cusco. 1 less gem. 1 less Arliss Legacy. For another Pinocchio. Keep me still at 16 uninkables. Still a lot, but kind of need a 1-drop with this hand. Kind of need ink too. Yikes. It's a rough hand. Maybe the answer is just 8 1-drops because of how important it is to be able to combine either Crab or... I guess Cusco kind of fills that role. Interesting. Sorcerer, Mickey, and Voyage. It's a location deck. Makes this Maui a bit better as well. I'd like to hold on to at least one of these foxes to combine it with the Crab. Because I'm going to play a Crab this turn. And if my opponent immediately just goes like Agrabah or whatever, then I'm just gonna Fox and Bash it. If they don't play a location, that's fine. I'll just draw 2 and then do something else. Maybe just play the Fishhook. Let's draw 2 first and see where that leaves us. We can surprise Fishhook next turn. I think I just play the Rabbit. Keep the cards flowing. Like, I can just play Fishhook and pay for it and take out the Minnie Mouse. 4-4 for 4, Elsa. Interesting. So they did jam an Arliss Legacy. So I have two options. I can either remove this, or I can develop this and remove the Minnie Mouse. It's kind of interesting, actually. Maybe I let them keep the... Maybe I don't play either of these, and I play a fox to take this out so I can draw a card with the rabbit. We just, like, bash this with everything. Do this, this, and then fox here and draw a card. Hit here. Do I want to put the fox back into my hand? Or the crab? Maybe just the fox. It's an interesting turn. And it's possible that this is just better price, but having the cards is pretty good in this matchup too. So that's something to think about. There's a world where I want to save this because if they Maui the crab, it's really awkward. But like, also this is incredibly powerful against locations if it's already in play. So we should deal with this Minnie Mouse now before it becomes a bigger problem. So this will cost 5 to deal with it. We can develop a Minnie Mouse as well then. What are we inking? One of these foxes, because we have so many. Yeah, I think so. It doesn't feel great, but I do need to get this Minnie Mouse off the table. We'll give it evasive. We'll take this out. We'll play the Always Classy. And I think because I have the actual Maui and the Fishhook now, I don't necessarily care as much about the crab, so we can just quest with it. This is here because it can also challenge very well with the Fishhook. Maybe that means I should just have another one of these instead of the Cusco, just for curve considerations. So it makes my early turns a lot stronger. Like if we have one. Interesting. What if we just killed that? We have to get rid of another fox? What do we think about getting rid of another fox? Ugh. We don't have to get rid of another fox. We do if we want to kill this though, right? Like if I want a rabbit fox. I could also... We also have this Jolly Roger to deal with too, right? Okay, what if we did this? I'll hit that, let them draw their card. I will fox the crab on the snake. We'll hit the Jolly Roger. Pinocchio the Anna. Hit it with the fox. We don't need the crab. And then we just quest here. And we can give something evasive. Whatever my most important card is. This, I guess, but they can't challenge it anyway. So then I suppose it's just this. Kind of doesn't matter. I guess we could have weaved in the snake to untap the snake then too. Each opponent loses 1 lore. Rude. We finally get to draw a card. Draw cards. Multiple, maybe? Can ink one of these Mauis. Just bash with everything. This goes back to their hand if they just hit one of our things. We'll just say go. Let them have 1 turn where we just draw a couple cards. I don't know if they're playing B-Preps in a deck like this. They might be. Interesting. I mean, we're probably just setting up a turn to wipe the board with B-Prep. Realistically. Namari. I see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can kill most of that and then gym and location stuff. And I feel like that's probably pretty good. So I guess we like do this and trade. I'm gonna set up to just draw a bunch of cards, I think. We'll do this. Let him get it back, that's fine. Let's play Jim. Play this. Put it on him. Do this. 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 And we'll just get rid of Maui. And this. And pass. Now we have 5 characters in this Queen's Castle. They have Namari, which can get rid of 1 of them, whether it's through banishing or just challenging. But likely we're going to draw a bunch of cards, and then we'll be able to shut the door from there. Pinocchio. That's interesting. They just quest. Okay, well let's draw 5 cards. Okay, well now we have some choices. We can gain 6. And then do we want to just, like, play more shit? We can probably blow up the board and still play a thing. I think that makes the most sense to me. Because I think that shuts the door the fastest. Without them having really much recourse for it. I think we can do that, play 2 things, get rid of the crab, and put 1 of them in the location, and then just say go. Because now there's like not really much that they can do to come back from this. A lot of their Lower Dense characters are gone, the thing that just banishes something is gone. We have plenty of cards to work with, and we're just shutting the door with the castle on its own. Opposing evasive gain reckless, sure. It's like a 5/5. Well, we'll just do that, I guess. We'll quest here. We'll do rabbit, draw a card. We'll ink this. We'll play goat and always classy and pass. And then this is lethal with the be prepared. If they don't kill something, that's fine. It's a lot of Captain Hooks, though. Go to 17. Guess we'll just draw a card. Gives us a snake. Sure, we'll take a snake. Alright, go ahead. They can still drain us lore. And they can sing Be Prepared with this, I suppose. They have a lot of uninkables in their deck. Like, most of the deck is uninkable, in fact. We're gonna get a fancy finish with the goat removal. Because it's fun. Our opponent declined the rematch, so we are in Wood 1. About 12 games at 9-3, so it's like a 75% win rate. It's pretty good. What did we lose today? Obviously, we've tweaked the deck a little bit since then. But what did we actually lose to? The mirror, which I guess happens. Like, that hasn't changed much. We lost to a Mufasa deck with, like, the Perditas, but we won the best of 3 there, I think. If I remember right. Yeah, I guess we haven't really lost to a ton. Just, like, some random smatterings. Still pretty good win rate overall. I think we'll maybe play one more, and then I'll probably have to call it until the tournament tomorrow. And I think this is what we're going to run. I'll noodle it a little bit more. Like to see if there's another uninkable that I can afford to cut down. Like to be able to run all these Medusas and Pinocchios. Maybe it is just the RLS Legacy's got to go. We'll hold on to Jim just for ink, because we don't need to over-mulligan here. So we're against green steel. Let's ink Jim. Play Rafiki and pass. Likely gonna lead on the snake. Try and get to the rabbits, and then snake a rabbit on 6, if we can. It'll be a pretty standard RP game as it's shaping up right now. I'd like to draw Pinocchio so that we have a way of interacting with an Ursula on 3. Kita Bodyguard. Interesting. I'd like to keep the Maui if we can. So I guess I'm getting rid of Teeth, even though I don't feel great about that. And I don't feel terrible about it. I think it's fine. We have the Maui to deal with a Robin Hood. If we absolutely need it. Yeah, Wood does have some pretty wild and interesting decks going on. People are out there dabbling. It's interesting because it lets you see card interactions that you maybe wouldn't normally get to. So they don't opt to exert it, which is good for them. I think we're going to ink Rafiki, and I may just draw 2 cards with friends on the other side. And say go. I could quest with the Mim, but I think I'd rather not. No, that doesn't make any sense. Let's just quest with it. Like, if they want to trade their Kita plus a spell into the Mim, that's fine. I'd rather get my lore. If they play Ursula and then quest with Kita, it's not great for us. I think that's kind of a rough spot to be, because then we can't really stop the Ursula directly. Character gains Reckless during their next turn. Interesting. Well, let's just play our rabbit, I suppose. Jam with our snake and pass. We have a couple of foxes, which are pretty good now that we have the rabbit as well. kind of an interesting card, actually. Though it doesn't really stop things like Ursula. Because they can just sing and then it doesn't do anything. Challenged and banish. Banish the challenging character. Okay. So it's just a 2-1 that I can't challenge. Unless I want to trade my thing. It's fine. Is this a mill deck? They haven't really drawn that many cards. It is more than 60. No, it's not, because we've drawn extra cards. It's just not a mill deck. Unless it's exactly 60. They do nothing again. I suppose that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can challenge the Queen's Castle pretty well if they want. There's an awful lot of Mauis, though. Maybe we make them have to challenge by just running it out and putting, say, the snake into it. Let them interact with the rabbit if we want. But if they let us draw a card, then that's fine. If they do have an answer for the Queen's Castle, that's also okay. It means that they've made their board a little bit more vulnerable to, like, us battling with all these rush characters that we have. And if they don't have enough to interact with the Queen's Castle, they may not without having like a Titan. Our early lore gain was fruitless, I suppose. It's fine. Gives our rabbit Reckless. Then attacks with Helga to kill our rabbit. But then plays a location so we can attack the location instead. Well, that is certainly something that you can do with your cards. All of our characters have Reckless, so they have to rumble. We could hit both of them into Iago, and just remove Iago, and then we get drained 1 lore. And then we can Pinocchio the Tiberius, and then bash it. That seems fine. I don't know if we need all these Mauis, but we'll get rid of the goat for now. So let's remove the Iago. Like so. Don't even necessarily need to draw a card. We can kind of just leave the rabbit in play. I should have done this in a different order. I could have saved the lore. Whatever. It's fine. No, actually, we just want to draw cards. I don't know what I was thinking. Always draw cards, right? Let Tiberius, and then we'll put this into the location and pass. Yeah, we could have saved a lore there, but I think that's all right. We're going to shift Milo. Does he do? This character's banished. Return all opposing characters to their owner's hands. Sure. We just get to bounce all of our cards to our hand. Is that even that big of a deal? Not really. We just like do this, and then so I can choose to either play Maui to take out the Manor, or the Maui to take out the Milo. Maybe the Maui to take out the Milo is fine. So let's do this. Let's ink the Cusco. We'll quest. And then we'll just play Maui and bash Milo and just scoop 5 cards back to our hand. Okay, your turn. This seems fine. I would like to draw 5 cards, all of which have come into play abilities. So this one is only when it's challenged and banished, or challenged as it gets banished. You have too many cards. How many of these can I actually kill? If I play a 2 like Pinocchio, I can Fox. Yeah, that seems fine. Tap you. Get rid of an additional Maui. Play Fox. Bounce Pinocchio. Kita. Play Fox. Bounce Fox. Hit Iago. And pass. So this also lets me keep the Queen's Castle in play. Which is pretty nice. I don't really need all of these cards, but I'm glad that I have them, and the Pinocchio's feeling great. Being able to tap something down and then use Fox to just bully it is very powerful. And while we're doing all of this board control, we're still gaining 2 lore every turn with the Queen's Castle, which is very good. So, I don't know what they have as far as options. I guess they could just use Helga to trade the directly with the Fox, but they may just concede, and that makes sense too. So let's do this. We'll take out the Helga. I'll ink Maui. I guess just play a Pinocchio and put this in here and pass. Since we have a redundant Pinocchio, we may as well use one just as a 1/1. Realistically, they probably could have conceded instead of passing, but they want to make us finish it, so that's, I can appreciate that. Do this. We don't have a goat. Do this to draw a card. We'll play another one to draw a card. Just ink, put 2 of them in the thing. Let's say go. Put the untapped ones, because it's better, but then it'll close. Take a rematch if they have one. If they don't want to, that's okay too. So that puts it 13 games, so we're 10-3. I do feel like the extra Pinocchio feels good in a lot of these games. I'm debating on these teeths and this stuff right here, like these numbers a little bit. I think the fish hook at 2 is good. I like the bee prep at 4, the goat at 4, the crab at 3. I like this at 4, this at 4. This at 3 feels good. These both seem fine. Maui's awesome. So it's sort of like the gyms and the locations. I do like this as a way of doing more than one thing in a turn. Like getting a character plus a location developed in the same turn, following like a Be Prepared or whatever is incredibly strong. It may be that we just have to shave the RLS legacies now that we have the fish hook. Like we don't need the evasive as much. Still very good though. It's tough. Could be that we cut Jim down to 2, cut the RLS legacy, and then we can add another 2 inkables. Something that's maybe a little bit more expensive and then something that's a little less expensive. Could be a Minnie Mouse or a Cuzco. And then it could be something like a Maleficent Dragon, or... Let's look at our options real quick before we call it here. So if we look at these two, and we do some filtering by... inkable... And then let's sort them by cost. So, things that I have given consideration to. I've given consideration to something like Hey. So, this sort of does two things. Sometimes it drains a little bit of lore, which is whatever. Occasionally that's nice. When I had 6 locations, it was okay, but also it's a 3 power for 2, which is what was the most important thing. You know, it's Jim Hawkins, but it has another ability sometimes, right? So there is some thought to be had there that that's not terrible. Facility being an 0-4 does work very well with the crabs and hooks as well as a 2-drop. I think those were the major considerations. I also considered this, just because it does rush. I don't think it matters as much as I would like. I'd rather just have a Minnie Mouse, I think, if I'm gonna consider something like the Saberwing. Though this is very good against certain decks. I don't think it really does enough on its own. And I don't think any of these other cards really are necessary for considering. I think this card is okay, but not great. Same with this. Pascal, like Olaf is just the Minnie Mouse. May as well just be the last Minnie Mouse. So that's sort of our 2-drop slot of Inkables. I don't think the Queen of Hearts really does what we want. We need something a little bit bigger than a 2-2. At the 3-drop slot, there's not a ton stat line-wise that does what I want. Like, the Queen is just a worse Madam Mim because it doesn't have Rush, and it doesn't bounce one of our things. Both of which are realistically upsides on the Fox. I thought about the Broom when I had a little bit more locations because it does a 3-5 for 3, and it also combines well with the Crab, turning into a 4-5. Like, it just is able to hit and survive a lot. But ultimately, it just doesn't do a lot. Could run something like Maleficent Sorceress. I haven't been particularly impressed with it lately, because it's so rough on the draw. Like, your best outcome is that you play it and then you sing Friends and then it dies. I don't really think that that's where I want to be with my cards. I don't think we need more fish hooks. And we don't have enough reckless characters for Dive Bomb to be of consideration. This doesn't do anything for us. Random 3-4s are viable, I think. Yzma or Fairy Godmother or whatever, Wardrobe. I thought about them, but I just don't think that they do enough, probably. Like, there's just, I think, stronger cards that we can be running in those spots. Once we get to 4, obviously it opens up quite a bit, but I don't really want more 4s. We have plenty. Even if we're cutting the RLS Legacy entirely and shaving the gyms down, we still have plenty of 4s in the, like, the rabbits and the goats, and then the Queen's Castles. Like, I'd rather be playing a rabbit almost every time than doing most of these other things. So then given that, I think it would be looking towards something a little bit later, like at the higher cost. And maybe it is just like a couple Maleficent Dragons, or even something like a whale. Like, I've given the whale consideration. Maybe I don't do this tomorrow, but it might be something to try. Because, like, it's good with the fish hook as well, because you can give it evasive, but the benefit of this is that, okay, let's imagine that they have, like, a couple of locations in play, and a bunch of characters. You can hit a location, and this kills all of them except for McDuck Mansion in one hit. And if you have the if you have the fish hook, it always is able to defeat it. But like, you can hit 2 locations and then untap it again, and then just sing B prep. And I think that's where this has value, is like singing B prep after doing something, right? But it could just be 2 Maleficent Dragons, something like this. So that gives us 15 uninkables, which I think is a little bit better. It could even be 1 Maleficent Dragon and then like going up on the always classy, just for more early game. Something like this. Because then we have the 3 Teeth and Ambitions, which do combine a little bit better with the mini. We have some additional just like big thing that isn't a gem. Like this gem and the Maleficent Dragon sort of hold the same spot in my mind, where it's like a thing that we can aggressively ink and not worry too much about it. I really do like the RLS Legacy, but maybe it just like isn't good enough as far as our inkables. Like maybe the Pinocchios, the Medusa B prep, and the rabbits are just better on inkables. So then the RLS Legacy has to get the axe. And that's not the end of the world, in my mind. Like, it's really not that bad. I do like it as a card, but something's gotta go, and I think that the Pinocchio is just, like, much better right now. Which makes it more important to have it in this spot, right? What do we think of this for tomorrow? It's really hard to rely on a 1-drop. Is there any of our other cards that just are inkable that should probably just be higher counts? Like, this could be possible as well. 3 Cuscos instead. It's worse on turn 1. And it's a little harder to weave these in, but it does give us more draw as well. And this is still good with Crab. So the Pinocchio really doesn't work with the mini anyway. This is tough. This is really tough. I do actually think it's probably this. Because we really want the 1-drop to be able to play into Snake on 2. I think. Like, the difference in 7 and 8 is not that great, like, as far as finding it. But sometimes being able to play one of these while we play something else is pretty nice. But maybe just the card velocity is more important with the Cuscos. There were just a bunch of spots where, like, we had the ability to B-prep and then Queen's Castle plus put something in it because we had a 1-drop instead of a 2-drop, which I think is very relevant. And, like, our 1-drop trading up into something with the Crab does feel a lot better than the Cusco, even though this draws a card. I just don't know. I think this is what I'm going to submit for tomorrow. We got 2 gems to go with our Queen's Castles. I think they're good, but not amazing. We've got the 3 teeth still, which are good with the Cusco. Like, this does give us the ability to sing the teeth, which is also relevant. Sing it and just blast itself, and then take something out if we have to. Get 3 crabs, which combine good with this. They combine well with this. They combine well with the Rafikis and stuff to be able to take out locations. Same with the fish hook. Good in the mirror. Good in any of the location setups. This is the only card that I'm like kind of on the fence about. If I could maybe find room for another one of these that I didn't hate what we were taking out, I might run it. Just for 2 of them. The only card that I can think of is like Teeth and Ambitions to cut, because I really want the early game stuff. So many 2-drops. Now that we have the Pinocchios as well. We just have way more to do on 2. Maybe the Cusco isn't as good. Man, I wish somebody would know what the best list is for this, so I didn't have to hem and haw about it so much. I don't know. I'll think about it a little bit more. I think it's probably this, but I have a few hours to noodle it over before I got a battle in the morning. It very well could be that this just should be 1 whale instead of a Maleficent, but the whale is a little bit awkward. Off the top, like it just doesn't do as much as you would like a lot of the time. Doesn't have a come into play ability, which is a bit awkward. Is there anything else? Just gains 1 lore. It's not that relevant. Yeah, we've kind of exhausted all the choices of stuff that I think makes sense. I don't really think that we need the Minnie Mouse Surfers. I just don't think they're good right now. I think they're like okay at best. And I think it's either that or it's something like a 3-4. I don't really want to run a vanilla 3-4 though. LeFou is also of consideration. It's another thing that you can sort of reuse your characters a little bit. Double hit with Maui. Like, it functions similar to a crab a lot of times. But it can, like, you protect stuff. We just, like, don't have anything that can sing Be Prepared, which is really awkward, outside of the dragon. But there's not really any 7s that I'm super excited about running, and it kind of has to be inkable with the way that our deck is constructed. Aladdin's too slow. Jafar just doesn't work unless you're shifting it. Doesn't really work in our deck very well. Like it would just be Maui Whale. I just don't think Maui Whale is where I want to be right now. What about this with the 3 Pinocchios? Keeps our inkable count low. It's a little bit better against Ursula because we just have a little less songs. If we have less teeth, we probably need less of this anyway. What about this? Inkable count I like. This is the only spot that is a little bit dubious to me, is the teeth. It's being able to deal with like a shift before they can actually use it is nice. When you don't have to rely on Pinocchio, there's a few turns where you just like can't always Pinocchio their thing. Teeth just doesn't answer Ursula, which I think is the problem. Yeah, I think this is where I want to end up. So I'm going to play this tomorrow. Because there's a couple of dragons for a little bit more endgame. As opposed to the gems, since we cut a couple of locations for Pinocchios mostly. And I think that Medusa is just exactly where you want to be against a lot of the steel and green decks. Like on turn 6, I just want to be playing a Medusa almost every game. Because it kills almost everything that you care about. Yeah, alright, I'm happy with this. Okay, so that's going to be me for today. So not a ton of games. We played 13, we won 10, lost 3. There were some close games. We took them to best of 3 when we could. So we're on the climb. We'll be climbing a lot more. Obviously tomorrow we're doing a tournament. It'll be the pack $1,600 event, which I will stream. And then after that we'll continue our grind. Our next streams, I should be streaming quite a bit more than we had in the past. And we'll have all of it up there, and I will be putting it up on YouTube. Certainly don't hesitate to watch them there if you can't catch me live. You know that I don't always stream at the most sort of consistent times. We'll work on that a little bit as well. So I do thank everybody for watching. Appreciate that. Nation. We'll have a good time tomorrow, I think. Let's see if anybody else is on right now. Even doing Pixelborn. I would doubt it, but yeah, it's kind of just the end of the night. I think we'll just cut it out, and we'll see everybody in the morning. I'll go get a little bit of sleep here, and then we will we'll tackle the tournament and see how it goes. So yeah, I think this is what I'm going to submit. Probably do that right now. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and I will see you next time.